Chuck, I'm telling you, on the cold winter days that we've gotten, I know it's been a little bit warmer, but on those cold days when it got cold, that beanie kept me nice and warm. So you're just missing out.
He hits it high in the air. Left field. This one's got a chance. And let's go on a cowhide. Joyride. Sound the horn. The Railcats clear the yard.
Hello, Railcats fans, and welcome back to the Railcats Talk podcast. He's Chuck Blair. I'm Kyle Savetich, and we didn't go anywhere. I know Chuck has been itching at the moment to record, and I thought a handful of other people have been. But holiday season doesn't really work out best for me, and having a 5 month at home hasn't really been the best recipes for success. But then it's just like, you know what, we'll wait, and then just like bam, just signing after signing after signing, and it was just like, okay, so we have a lot to talk about. So we will try to make it as painless as possible and avoid as much number looking as possible because I know Chuck really hates the numbers. But we can get into some of our discussion because we did have a long card ride on Wednesday to Chicago as we did the third annual Railcast Talk Blackhawks game. And
That's right.
the first time that they won, and it was a blowout, and the first time that we've gone that hasn't gone into overtime or a shootout. So that 8:30 start looked a little nice when regulation ended and we were able to get home at 1 o'clock instead of 2:30.
That's right.
But that is always a fun time. So, Chuck, I have on the agenda here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 signings since Frank Podcool back in October. Actually,
Yep.
I have it written down, but yeah, on October 30th, so the day on Halloween's Eve. So I guess we will start with Matt Ritz. He's a pitcher. Let me get all this. He is from Covenant College, Georgia. He is 29 years old. He played 4 seasons in college and 6 seasons in independent baseball, all looking like most of it in the Atlantic League, but he did play 3 years in the Frontier on 3 teams in the Frontier League. Probably he could be a potential starter. He played in 99 games and had 47 starts. His ERA was 6.7, wins 920, but really looking at his WHIP is 1.579 and his strikeout to walk ratio is 2.45. That is someone that's going to be able to throw strikes. This is what Jeff had to say to him, quote from the Railcats website themselves. So I'm just making sure I'm putting that correctly in there. Matt is a strike thrower that I think will fit in well in our ballpark. One of the best qualities a pitcher can have is the ability to fill up the strike zone, and he'll log valuable innings for us. Looking at his, now in the 6 seasons he's hit 30 people. All right, that's 6 seasons. We've signed guys that have hit 30 people in like 25 innings.
Right.
So that's a big positive. Obviously the walk to strikeout ratio is so much higher. He struck out 190 people and he's only walked 78 people. So that's really good. Last year he played in Staten Island, where he had a 9-2 record, it looks like, and he pitched in 2-3 record. He pitched in 9 games and had 2 starts. Last year, his strikeout to walk ratio was 3.60. So obviously we have people that are going to throw strikes, and that is something I think we've kind of lacked in years past, is someone just going to be able to just kind of put the ball in here, not give up a lot of home runs, and just kind of let the defense play behind them. I know it's a whole different regime, and we don't know what the fielding is going to necessarily look like, but if we're going to get someone that can fill the strike zone and rely on the defense, I think we're going to win more games than not. Chuck, do you have anything?
I'm sorry, I sleep when you mentioned the guy's name.
I-
I'll say this. How many signings? How many signings? 7, you said?
7. We're up to 8, but 7, yes.
We're up to, yeah. So I believe what are we at? Six of them are just like
I I,
okay,
I wouldn't. Okay, I, this signing intrigues me.
okay,
Okay, because of he has he's in the Atlantic League. He's had good numbers. He's pitched in the Atlantic League for a handful of years. He's 29, so he's on the older side of things. So when you get younger people in, but someone that's older and has success like he's had, not saying it might not be the quote unquote best success, but as a reliever and being able to put the ability to throw strikes and not get in a situation where it's walk after walk after walk, or you're looking at his whip is 1.4 is 1. My bad, is 1.5. So you're either looking at him giving up a walk or a hit in an inning is essentially what you're looking at. But being
right.
able to strike out people, uh, let's see, his hits per night. But being a reliever, it skews the numbers. But it looks like he's going to be one of those situations where the ball is going to be in play more often. So you have to be able to have a defense behind you. And with a pitcher that's going to be able to throw more strikes, his pitch count might go down more, so he can give you longer innings. So we're looking at, I would guess, more of someone that can do a spot start or is going to give you those innings that the Railcats really failed in the last couple years, from the fifth to the seventh inning or fifth to the eighth inning, because you just haven't someone to stretch the bullpen.
I I agree with you, but this is more one of those fill-in type of roles. But I haven't seen anything that's the meat and potatoes of the team. Right?
Okay,
I haven't seen anything that's a wow. So give me a wow.
so I this one is a wow to me on different sorts of levels,
Okay.
because I have someone that I work with that actually went to high school with this Railcat that I'm going to mention.
Oh boy.
And the last name is going to sound very familiar because his
Right.
uncle played 18 years in the league. And it was interesting to me that he never got any kind of D1 offers or played any kind of affiliate ball just with the name. So that would be Frank Plezak, who
Right.
is a pitcher out of Crown Point. He did play for Crown Point. He did win sectionals. I can't think. I know they won a sectional. Can't think off the top of my head. But this is what I learned. So this is one of those signings that excites me. One, for the amount of people that are going to come to the game, because when I told him, or when my fellow worker told me about this, he goes, if he's going to play, I want to come to the games. This is what having a local product is going to give you. Now, he told me he didn't get a lot of D1 offers because he's diabetic. And that is something that they might have looked at, to whatever the case may be. His numbers aren't terrible. I mean, I'm surprised. I've seen worse numbers from players in college that have gone to a community college, because he went to Bethel University in Mishawaka. So I've seen plenty of players go, and with his name, I'm just surprised he was never like looked at that way. So I don't know if it was the diabetic issues that he has that might cause the issue. But it's a local product, and it's a recent local product which has the name Plezak. So we never know. There might be one day. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but we might have Dan Plezak walk around the stadium. He might be able to throw out a first pitch, whatever the case may be, from a marketing standpoint. That's awesome. Um, but so, like I said, he played in 4 years in college from 2021 to 2024. Um, in 2024 and 2025, he played in Juliet. So, looking at his 2 seasons, he had a 6-1 record. His ERA is 4.41. He played in 63 games, but only started two. So he's probably going to be more of a reliever role. But he's also one of those that he doesn't hit a lot of people. He struck out 50, walked 30. His WHIP is 1.5. Again, our reliever number is going to be a little bit skewed. His strikeout to walk ratio is 1.67. This is a young player that's getting his feet wet into independent baseball and moving up and seeing what he was able to do through Juliet. He probably has, and not saying he has a lot of connections to Jeff, but it's a local product that's a young guy that you might be able to rely on and give some innings to. I understand it's not a blowout sale of, wow, this guy came from the Atlantic League and he won the MVP, and we're not going to get those guys just yet.
Oh, oh man, I mean, I think you might have missed your calling in used car salesman. Uh, didn't do you remember 2 years ago? I think it was 2 years ago where we had a guy named Mondesi, right?
Yes.
And man, this guy's dad or uncle was, rookie of the year, and man, this is
Okay.
great.
I,
But
he also has his brother who's also playing in, well, not playing the show, but he played 6 years in the show. I think he's in the Cardinals organization. I'm just saying the name gets you places. So it's just weird that, and it's not like his college numbers were awful either.
his name has gotten him to Bethel College and gotten him to the Gary South Shore Railcats.
Yeah, but Chuck,
That's where his-
but there's more of there's more of an interesting aspect to it because Chuck, I understand, but it's interesting to me. It's one of those names that people are going to know and they're going to want to come see.
but here's your counter argument to what I'm saying. Alec Oland,
Yes.
right? A local product guy came out, did great. For some reason, we got rid of him. He goes, blows the doors off, does a wonderful job. Miss the guy every time I see him. Uh, so yes, we could have Alec Olin style talent from a guy from Crown Point. When I hear Crown Point, the thing that comes to mind is not, wow, the stud baseball players that come out of that part of the world. That doesn't happen. So, local guy, bring in some people. That would be cool. But once again, I mean, if the guy had if he had the talent to be playing in the show and he's not there because somebody didn't give him a chance, that's not likely. He's probably one of those guys. Once again, going to be a fill-in guy. I don't see him being, this is going to be the stud for the roster for pitching. And you know what? That's fine. We need bullpen guys. And from the signings that we've seen, I would say that we're not going to wind up signing a bunch of guys that we had before. So, and last year's bullpen was okay. It was pretty good. Kept us in, a lot of games. So, yeah, I'm great that he's local, but I got a brother-in-law that's 40 that can go out there and shake some fly balls if we're looking for an outfielder.
Yeah, but the thing is it's the growth from him that intrigues me because you go from 1 year of I'm gonna look at the strikeout to walk ratio because this is what the two pitchers that we've signed are going to be known for, their strikeout to walk ratio. They're going to throw strikes. They're not going to hit a lot of people. They're not going to walk a lot of people. He goes from a 1.13 in 2024, but then he jumps up to 2.20 in last year. But even in college, his first year he had a 2.56, and then his second year he went up to a 6.38. And then his junior year, it looks like it goes to a 5.1, and then his senior year it goes to a 4.29. I'm sorry, if I'm looking at those numbers specifically, I don't know. I've seen numbers much lower and much worse that have been drafted by teams and put in affiliate ball at community colleges. So I don't know if it's a medical thing that kind of caused him from getting a D1. He got D1 looks, but it was just he never really got anything because of maybe potential medical issues. I don't know the whole story. That's just what I've been told from someone that has been close to him. So this could
Right.
be someone that's going to grow, and it,
Yeah.
it,
I
it could grow
mean,
into something. But I
we
do
might
have quotes.
we've got two guys now that you mentioned that are might be something.
Well, that's this can be a discussion after, but
Oh no.
um, so quotes actually from Frank because I think he knows Andrew pretty well. So we do have quotes from him. Growing up watching the Railcats and now being a part of the team is a surreal moment. I'm excited to compete close to home, show my talents, continue to grow as a player and as a teammate. This is what Jeff had to say. We always love signing local products. Frank can be used as either a starter or a reliever and a pitcher that limits walks. That is someone that tells me that Jeff knows what he wants to do with him already. He's gonna have a plan for him. It's going to be we're probably gonna use him as a reliever and see what he can do. And if we have injury problems, and knock on wood we don't, but he could potentially be someone that you can fill into that role. Now I'm not
Right.
saying that in years past we've had people like that and they haven't succeeded in that role, but it's a different regime and a
Right.
different coaching style. So it's gonna
Well,
be
but here's one of the recurring themes here that we keep going through is that we've had last year the talk was walks, hit batters.
yes.
And my argument every time was, listen, we just got through a season where it seemed like we ended probably 10 games with a hit batter and a guy on base that brought in the winning run for the other team and we lost, right? So it's good to see these guys coming in with control. That's the key thing there is control. And that's great to see. Now, what is that control going to get us? We'll find out. But I'm glad to see that Jeff is focusing on pitchers with control.
So then that leads us to our next signing, Bryce Helgeth.
All right.
He is so on his baseball reference, and I reading through it changed. But coming into college, he was a dual player. So he played defensively and pitched and hitting and all that other stuff. But he's dropped off and committed completely to pitching. So it may say that on there, but he's completely committed to pitching. He's 26, just turned 26 not that long ago, actually on December 31st. So he went to Central Michigan University, and then he went to the University of Dayton as well. He played 5 years in college. Another one of those guys that doesn't walk a lot of people. He doesn't hit people. He throws strikes. He played in the Frontier League with Windy City, and in 2024 and last year in those two seasons, he had an ERA of 4.18. His WHIP was 1.4, and his strikeout to walk ratio is 1.6. He gave up 57 walks and struck out 94 batters.
How many home runs did he give up?
Home runs, he gave up 7 in those two seasons. Again, I kind of started looking away from home runs given up because it all depends on where you play, and not all the
Right.
time do I know where they're going to play and what facility you're in. And obviously, being the Steelyard, you can argue that it's kind of changed in a handful of years. 'Cause I think it's changed, especially with them bringing in the right field fence. Home runs seem to be going out more than not. And that could be a potential fear with a bunch of batters that are able to throw strikes is, are we going to see an increase in that? But are we going to see it where someone's going to be able to paint the corners versus getting themselves in a 3-0 count where they have to throw the ball down the middle? So it's going to be interesting to see how that transpires. This is what Jeff had to say. Bryce has some electric stuff. He has also showed last year with Windy City that he can be a starter or a reliever, and that versatility can help us during the season. So again, back-to-back signings of two players that can do both. The pitching side of it, I've been more impressed with this year as far as looking at the tad bit of just the highlight numbers of what you're looking at. It's the walk, again, the walk, the strikeouts, that kind of stuff. You can say it however you want, a black guy, but again, they're coming from the Frontier League. Who knows? I don't follow the Frontier League close enough. Um, it's just that we're starting to see the kind of guys that he's going to want, at least in the starting, or at least in pitching.
Right.
This one was signed on the same day. They didn't go to college together, I don't think, but they both went to Central Michigan University. This one, Chuck, you could say is probably a younger version of Cooper Edwards. So he's 24 years old. Went to Central Michigan. He is a catcher. He played 2 seasons in the Frontier League with Juliet. Now this could be a potential. Hey, we got Plesac. He knows Drew Stengren, who is the guy, as a catcher. So that could be a connection there. Again, what is more important? A catcher that can communicate well with pitchers versus a catcher that is who can give you offense production but isn't the great behind the plate. So I think it might be one of those setups that we're getting. But looking at his 2 seasons in the Frontier League, 34 games played, he has
34 games total.
84 games total.
84 games total.
84 game total. 25 RBIs. He walked 37 times. He's only had 56 hits and 3 doubles. He's struck out 31 times. So he has more walks than he has strikeouts. He slashed a 236, 335, and a 249 for an OPS of 583. This is not this.
Yep.
So
you have access to his stolen base.
Yes, so he has so in 2025, he had a 35 attempts and he caught 7 people for 17%, which is roughly around what we've gotten from Cooper Edwards. He is roughly around I think he's 20, low 20s. So it's roughly around that. Okay. But this is why when I hear the quotes from Jeff, makes me think of a Cooper Edwards, but younger. Drew is reliable behind the plate. He is a plus defender that has shown he can handle a staff through the course of a season. Offensively, he has the ability to work the count and do things needed to win a game. Hit behind the runner, move a guy over, and put the bat on the ball. Again, something that we have lacked in doing. Now I know that it's a comparison because it's the closest that we've got, and it is Cooper Edwards. Cooper would be put in situations. He had days where he was offensively skilled. You could see it. He has the power. But it was very, very small glimpses here and there. It wasn't like a consecutive. Most of the time, he was in the bottom of the order, and when he got the opportunity, he would either probably bunt the ball over, and that was about it. We have lacked the person to move the line. You have someone that's going to be behind the plate that understands the strike zone, that understands the coach or the pitching staff, and can run a game how you may want it to. I'm not saying he's going to be the starting catcher. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that he could be a reliable backup in a situation where you just need someone to put the ball in play and not necessarily want to bunt it, because you can bunt the ball 9 out of 10 times, you know what's going to happen, but you put the ball behind a runner and you're looking at more offensive productive and just moving the line. That's the one thing I've noticed reading through the quotes from Jeff, is that he's seen these guys, he understands what these guys are capable. With Lamar, it was like, oh, I've heard good things about them, and they've done X, Y, and Z, but looking at his statistics and looking at the quote, it makes sense what he's saying. And that's something that they're going to need to find I'm not saying a better catcher, but they're going to need to find someone with more offensive production. But
we have 8 players signed, right?
Yeah.
And we've gone through 3 pitchers and a catcher. And not a single time have we been like, wow, I have something to look forward to this season.
I'm intrigued. You may not necessarily be intrigued. I'm
Me,
not. I'm not. I'm not.
no, I'm saying that there is some potential. I'm saying that, wow, some of this stuff could be good, but I also know that every other team is signing guys that are, these are good players, and we're getting guys that are and it makes me it I I I can put my bias towards Lamar and Jeff to the side. I can put that the argument that I have for this guy being good or bad or whatever for management standpoint to the side, but I I just want to win.
No,
I
I
want to
get
win
it.
some games.
I
And a recipe to winning games isn't, let's find some guys that can throw the ball over the plate and let's see what happens. That's not the recipe for winning games, or at least that's not the recipe that the other teams are using that are winning games.
I, I agree. I get that aspect, but I know this will be a discussion that we're having. We just have so many signings that it's going to be hard for me to all
Right.
fit this into one. What
I
we really
know.
want to talk about. Um, it's just we're seeing what he wants to start bringing in. The thing is I can swallow the pill of knowing, hey, this guy is probably going to bat a 230 the entire year because he was in the Frontier League. It's a harder pill to swallow when I look at a guy that's in affiliate ball and he was batting a 300 or he was batting a 250 and you'd expect him to come in the league and be more dominant, and they come in and they're duds, or they just don't fit the style of how the coaching staff might have put it together.
Right.
It just I think he might be going for people for an opportunity and see what they do. Again, we're not getting a lot, and I say this, a lot of international players. So it's one of those situations where we might be able to see more turnover in the course of the year than we have in years past because it's harder to not get rid of, but move on from those guys and try to get
Right.
another guy that you're used to pulling a pool from.
Yeah, but once again, the flexibility to bring other players in is not the focal point of me starting a season. I don't want to. Well, when this doesn't work, I'll have other ways of bringing people in as my, yay, this is the season that I want to start. So yeah, we can have American guys that straight out of college or a couple years in the Frontier League or whatever. That's okay, but we shouldn't be playing Moneyball here with guys that we hope are going to wind up working out. The other teams are able to figure out the formula to make sure that they're competitive.
Yeah, but
We haven't done that.
let's take it back to Lake Country. Okay, I understand when at the time they did it, they got rid of their manager, their field manager at the time.
Right.
But they got a bunch of guys that were lower tier players, and they were able to turn over the roster. You see it.
Right.
You see it. You've seen it with Cleburne. You've seen it with Chicago. You've seen it with Kane County. You see it all the time. That when something's not working, they're flipping guys over. That's just. I'm just. If that's what we're going towards, and that's what we're gonna see, it might be. These are easier quote unquote trade pieces to move. I guess is if you're looking for a certain thing, and it's like, hey, you're not working here, but there's a guy in the Frontier League that's doing really well, or in the Atlantic League. It's just better trade pieces. It could be a potential one of those. I get it. I'm getting too professional with it because hockey season.
Right, but you're even saying it yourself, is that these are people that maybe have value on a different team. That
they could, but they could be really valuable. I'm just it comes back to you just don't know. These players are new. It's the same thing with years past. Is I just don't know how to look at these players and judge them until they get on the field. It's no diss towards the players. They're new. I don't know how to
right
see them.
And if you come at me with, "Hey, we re-signed to Peyton Long." Great. I'm excited about that, right? Because what? He gave us a slightly above average season the first year and then came out and killed it last year, right? Uh, wow, we re-signed him. We know what we're getting and we've seen improvement and this could be a great year for him, right? You can give me a I don't know, a solid, well, even when we get to it, a Cooper Weiss that came in at the end of the year, and we saw some glimpses of what this is bringing, and so okay, wow, this is great. This is a good thing for us to see. Bring me in an LG who's been with the team for 2 3 years, and has put up a 210, 220, 250 average, and has been had the chance to play winter ball now. And so, hey, let's see what kind of an effect this has. But at least I know what I'm getting. I know what this is going to entail, what this is going to translate to. Um, but other teams are doing that, and we're not. We're signing guys that are filler guys, but what are they filling? I'm just hoping that from a fan perspective, that we're not getting like we did last year, where it was, hey, this guy is a solid number five starter. This guy is a solid number five starter. Oh, look at what we have. We have five number five starters and we don't have a solid number one, right? And that's what we're getting here is we're getting, wow, we've got a guy who could be a reliever, could be a starter, could be a reliever, could be a starter. If he was a starter, he would probably be number five. Okay. If he was a reliever, he'll probably be a guy that chews up innings. Okay, you're giving me guys that I'm going to put out there in most cases when I'm losing, or a guy that I'm going to put out there on the fifth day as my number five starter because I need to fill in something. And I want to see the bread and butter of the team. These guys aren't the bread and butter of the team. Giving me a catcher that is a Cooper Edwards when, last year we talked about it and said, hey, our only catcher we had on the roster was a Cooper Edwards. And we're like, this guy isn't a everyday starter. Um, Towards the end of the season, we were hoping that he was going to be the everyday starter, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, it was like, okay, what's your plan? And typically, I mean, we can't ask Jeff, hey, Jeff, what's your plan? Because I don't think we'd get an answer. But uh, looking at the signings, it's hard to tell. Uh, Now, I can go back to what we know, right? What we know is that Jeff isn't necessarily the guy that's finding these guys. Jeff has a guy that is finding players for him that is going to be, from what I heard, uh, part of the coaching staff next year. That he's, I think he had met him when he was in Chicago or had some dealings with him when he was in Chicago. This guy was part of finding players for Chicago. And so if you tell me that, I'm seeing, okay, this makes a little bit more sense because we are getting Chicago S type players, right? Local guys that are on the cheap, guys that are out of college that we might be able to see something great out of them. Uh, but Chicago had these cornerstones that they kept signing. These guys like a Josh Altman or a Brantley Bell or a Teeter, right? Had these cornerstone guys that were, and I can't even think of the catcher's name that they had a couple years ago that was a really good catcher. Um, they've had these cornerstone guys that you're like, man, these are the guys that the team's built on. And these other guys, as long as they don't screw up terribly, they have a chance to win every game. Um, we've signed 7 8 players now and we haven't seen any
Okay.
of those.
Okay. So maybe this next one might change your mind just a tad.
I know. I'm waiting.
Okay. Was it Scout Knotts? Scout Knotts.
Okay.
Is his name. He is left fielder, right fielder, first base, and I think he's probably going to play more first base. He's right-handed bat, and he's from Virginia, and he played in Shippensburg, University of Pennsylvania. He played the past 3 seasons with Lake Erie, And in every season, his numbers of home runs have gone up 2, 5, and 11. Uh, his best year, quote unquote, batting average wise, was his first year where he batted at 319. But looking at his overall, he slashes a 262 on base percentage of 393, a slug of 416, and OPS of 810. This is a guy that's going to be able to hit home run. I wish he was on the left side of the plate instead of the right side of the plate, but he has the offensive power that we might be looking for. And he struck out 143 times, but he also walked 108. So he might be one of those players that's going to be able to see the strike zone and it's going to be able to work the count to his favor and get yourself in more situations. I mean, in 3 seasons, he has 91 RBIs, 18 home runs, 37 doubles, 2 triples. He's only stolen 13 bases. But this is something that a 250 guy with power, it is a better look than.
Does it show his height and weight?
He is 6'6" and 230 pounds.
Okay.
So he's a big boy.
230 pounds in an outfield that is very big. I'm assuming that he's going to wind up playing right field, so that he is in the shorter outfield. You don't have to be as fast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that because of, like you said, less stolen bases, and has some power. So when I hear of a guy, and I've actually heard somebody else tell me about this player, and had good things to say. He actually played with Lake Erie, and we had a former Railcat that played on Lake Erie last year. And so word got back that this guy's a pretty good player. So okay, all right. Am I going to be, dig into his hits? Where are his hits at? Are his hits, off the wall type of hits, or his hits short outfield hits? Are they, we run into problems where, yeah, you might have enough power to get it to the outfield on a consistent basis, but you're always hitting it where there's players, right? A Gio Diaz situation.
Mm-hmm.
He goes from being a monster hitter to now he's got more power, but he's hitting it right to him every time. So, yeah, okay. Give me a guy like that. And you know what? He's one of my 5 outfielders, and let's see how he does for the first couple preseason games and see what he gives you. Absolutely.
So this is what Jeff had to say. Knotts has known he can do it all at the plate. Last year, he increased not just his power, but his also ability to generate walks and get on base. I'm really excited to see how he builds on his 2025 campaign. Again, batting average numbers might have gone down because of increase in power. The more power that you get, you might be getting more singles and so on and so forth. But the ability to keep getting on base and, again, moving the line is something that's more important to me than necessarily home runs. If he's going to give you clutch home runs in a season, I mean, 11 is, halfway to the record anyways? That's just... But if he's just going to be able to build upon that, and he's a younger guy, but one that's kind of been in the league, and not in the league terribly long, but newer, but older at the same time. It might be something that you can build upon. And having right now, I should take that back because we would probably have Cooper Weiss in that spot, but I would say you're kind of looking at him in that 3, 4, 5 spot. If I'm going to put the lineup, obviously we only have 3 people, but.
And if we had, last year we go back and replay, how many hitters did we have that were 7, 8, 9 hitters in the lineup, right? We had 8 of them, 7 of them, right? 7, 8 hitters, and 1 or 2 that were okay. I can see them being higher up in the lineup. This guy, worth taking a chance on, worth seeing what he can do. Not the guy that I'm looking for to build a defense around or build an outfield around, but can definitely be one of those players.
No, but you can build a lineup around him, and you can put him in as a DH role. I mean, that, and again, that's also there's been 2 major areas that the Railcats have struggled in years past. That's the DH role and the catching role. We haven't had I get that everyone wants to, if they want to move on and get into affiliate ball or making the show, that I would say this in years past that they don't want to be DH, but DH has now become a staple of MLB baseball. That you can make that a position specifically for a player, and if he thrives in that situation, because it's hard being a DH, your sole job is to hit the ball. And when you hit the ball or you don't hit the ball, guess what? You have to go back to the dugout and you have to wait your turn again. So that could be mentally draining. But there's guys that thrive off of it, and this could be a potential. But again, I don't know. This is we were really excited when we got the contract for Lamar Sparks. Right? We were very excited about it, and the Banana Ball is like, nope, you guys don't get him. We're taking him away from you.
Right. And I did make some conversation about that. I did find out that we were aware that this was a possibility, and that Lamar has some medical issues in his family, that he wanted to be closer to home, wanted to be in a situation where he could, help the family a little bit more. And so, yeah, I mean, Banana Ball is the way to go if you're, trying to make that paycheck and you want to be closer to home to take care of those things. So it was, hey, who am I to yeah, we took a chance, we put something out there. It didn't work out the way we wanted it to, but then again, it's one of those things where, you can't fault him for making the decision that he made. So
No.
yeah, we're excited about Cooper Weiss, but
Yeah.
does this kind of fill in that Cooper Weiss role? Probably not.
Wait, you mean Lamar into Cooper?
Lamar Sparks.
Yeah.
Lamar Sparks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is I really last year I really didn't dig into his number because he was a late pickup from Cleburne. He played in the Atlantic League with Southern Maryland, then went to Cleburne, and then Gary, all in the same year. They basically straight out of college. He played at Auburn and he played at Coastal Carolina and some other, but then 2024 he played at Auburn. He has done nothing but improve his numbers since then. So in Maryland he batted a 226, Cleburne a 243, and then I understand it's small sample size, but in Gary he batted a 289. His slugging is a 500 OPS of 808. I mean, he had 7 home runs, 7 RBIs, 2 home runs, 2 doubles, a walk. He struck out 9 times. He's going to be your but your player that's probably going to strike out more than walk. But that could be something that he's working towards. But this one excited me because I think he has the potential of being really good, and a piece that you can build a team around a Cooper Weiss. And I don't think there's a lot of people that can argue that.
Yeah. So last year, Cleburne did a really good job at bringing in a lot of good, talented field players.
Yes.
And they really struggled with their pitching.
Yes.
And they overpaid for people. And next thing you know, they're hitting a salary cap. They're not winning the games that they should be winning. And what happens, they bounce out and all's done, but they have to wind up cutting their players. And one of the players that they cut was Cooper Weiss. We saw something in him. Rightfully so. He was one of the better players that they cut. I believe they also cut Lamar Sparks. I could be wrong on that one. They had some other players that one of our pitchers, Evans, was one of the guys that got cut from there. And so, Cleburne was one of those teams where you're given one shot. And I'm not going to look for your potential. I'm going to look for the wins or the loss. And if you fail, then you're out. Hey, their loss is our game. So I too excited to see this one. This tells me that we're probably not going to re-sign Basabe.
I know he plays third. I think he played third for a little bit for us last year. But right now, obviously with the roster, with very bare minimum, I would put him at short. He's our shortstop. He has a better fielding percentage at short. I know it depends on range and everything. I know you can't really look at fielding percentage really anymore because it's not you look at other stuff that we just don't have access to. I'm just saying I'm locking it as one of our better signings, bigger signings
Yes.
of the year. We know what we're probably going to get with him, and this is something that we can attest to and say, yeah, this is what we're going to get out of this player, and he's going to provide you. He's going to provide you offense. He's going to provide you defense. He's going to score runs. He's going to get your home runs. He's going to be a power bat. But this next one is just a couple days ago, and I was not expecting to see a international player coming over, and in a Pedro Rivilla is what I'm gonna go with. I could be wrong. He's 26. Let me pull up because it's better to pull this one up. He is a former Cuban National Series home run champion. He's been playing in Japan a handful of years. This is his first time in the United States. And it was funny because we sat there and talked on our way up to the Blackhawks game, and I said, I really don't see us signing a lot of international players. And then, boom, the next day or next 2 days, it's, hey, there's an international player. Just looking like what he did Japan-wise, he had not a lot of home runs. He only had 3 home runs, 14 RBIs, batting average, and I really didn't look at his batting average and all that, but again, this is Japan. It's kind of hard to tell, but this could be either a diamond in a rough or a complete bust. Because his slashing is in the 6 seasons in Japan. Well, not his 6 seasons in foreign baseball. He is batting a 225, 340, slugging of 464, and then OPS of 804. But last year in Japan, he slashed a 188, 235, 305, and OPS of 540. With 3 home runs and 14 RBIs in 48 games. I'm not sure what we're going to get because his numbers are very last year was it's going to be hard to tell. I don't know if it was just a down year for him or whatever. If he's still working through some issues, but Japan takes baseball very serious over there, and it's a very competitive league over that way. So maybe coming back this way, it not quote unquote easier, but he might be able to adjust a little bit different.
Yeah, this one is one of those that I could see. I believe he plays first base. He also catches, and I think that I don't know what Jeff's going to do with him.
Now, I know we said a home run leader. The Cuban stats aren't on Baseball Reference, so I can't see what he did with Cuba. I can just see what he's done.
He's a right-handed hitter. So, put him up there with we're not necessarily playing to the strength of our field, which is unfortunate. But this is the type of player that I could see taking a chance on and saying, hey, let's put him in there. Let's see what we can get. Once again, not a player that I would build something around. But definitely one of those guys that I give a shot to.
So he primarily catches, is what it looks like. Now it's not a big sample size, but it's a sample size, and nonetheless, his caught stealing percentage is 38%. It's only 10 stolen bases. He's caught 6 people, not a whole bunch, or the attempts probably a little bit more. But anyways, this is what Jeff had to say. Rivilla is a intriguing player to us. It's not every day you can sign a player who led the Cuban league in home runs. Power like that can change a game in a blink of an eye. That quote is more or less to me a let's throw the dart and see what happens.
Yep. Which is what I said.
Yeah, I know. I know that's what you said, but I wanted to say it, so leave me alone.
He's a guy that you take a chance on and see, and give him a couple of games, and let's see what happens. He's the type of guy that you could put on the roster and then quickly turn over if needed, right? But you have to have that sheet of people that you're going to call on when you need to replace them if it comes to that, right? Catcher, seeing that you've got, I think I figured more towards first base because he had a very limited catcher stats. But hey, it doesn't hurt to have that catcher sitting there in case it's needed, and you kind of go from there. Once again, a little excited about it, but not anything that I'm like, wow.
Yeah. I know we have our questions and where a lot of this um, stems from, but we just had so much signing that it's gonna be hard for me to try to keep this under an hour.
Right.
I don't want to go really any long because we still have plenty of off season to talk about, and I'm hoping that we will be able to do this more on a consistent basis instead of just. It's really hard for me during the holiday season, obviously working in retail, that it sets the busy time of the year, and it's just like I went to work and back to work at December 8th, and I'm like, okay, it's now January 11th, and I can finally take a breath. So it's just one of those situations where the schedule kind of calms itself down to where it's easier for me to do some of this stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
we'll talk about predictions, talk about what we're looking at, talk about what we're hoping for, all of that stuff in the future. There's some nuggets of information that I've grabbed from various different sources that we'll discuss. Some of it is, like I said, we got a guy that's picking players or finding players for us, stuff like that. So some of it's kind of an intriguing change to different things, but uh, a lot of things to discuss, a lot of things to guess on, right? Because that's all that we're doing.
mhm.
Um, uh, so a lot of good reasons to listen to the podcast. But 2026, uh, going to be an exciting year, I hope.
Yep.
Uh, bought my season tickets because I did get a phone call, much like I complained about. I did get a phone call from Alex. He called to see how I was doing. He told me, hey, it's the time to buy, and so I did. And it felt good to have that phone call from my buddy Alex. So I have my season tickets now. I also want to say, I put my money where my mouth is at, right? Um, so typically I host two players.
Mhm.
Typically I get one of the perks is you get two tickets per player for the season. And so typically I have four seats behind home plate. Um, but uh, those are ones that are given to me for something that I do that I enjoy doing, and I don't necessarily think that I should uh, take away from what I would do anyways by getting that gift. Um, and so I pay for the family pass myself. In addition to that, so that gets me the 5 tickets for every home game. And those are the tickets that we typically use. The other 4 tickets are tickets that I typically find people that don't go to Railcats games or, have been to other ballparks, and I get them to go to games. And so those are the tickets that I hand out to people and get them a good seat and a good quality baseball game. So if you haven't got your tickets yet, get them. Um, if you haven't, we could go into the conversation of the beanies. You picked yourself up a beanie, a Railcats
Oh,
beanie.
dang it! I
Uh,
forgot to wear it because we haven't done a podcast since then. Ah,
oh,
crap.
so you picked up the beanie. I just shook my head at you. Natasha wanted a beanie, and we're at the Railcats game. I mean, at the Blackhawks game. I went ahead and bought one that was god awful expensive. Bring it home, and it does not fit anybody's head. 3-year-old Alex is lucky if it'll fit on his head. He starts screaming, pulls it off, and throws it down the stairs. So I believe that your hat probably fits,
Yeah, Chuck.
and,
Um,
and therefore quality control on the merchandise that you get from the Railcats is even better than you get from the Blackhawks. So if you haven't picked up your merchandise for the Railcats, go ahead and do that. Other than that, I ain't got anything else to.
you know, is that your final out for the week?
That's my eating crow, making fun of you for the hat and spending that, and then I spend twice as much for a hat that is now sitting on a banister post and no longer not able to be used.
Chuck, I'm telling you, on the cold winter days that we've gotten, I know it's been a little bit warmer, but on those cold days when it got cold, that beanie kept me nice and warm. So you're just missing out. And really, at your point, Chuck, you should at least try the hat on to see if it fit at the game. It could have been a
Right.
youth one for all we know, and you just failed to.
It doesn't say that it's youth,
Oh,
and if it was youth, I would think it would still fit on a 3-year-old.
well, maybe you just got a big head. I don't know.
Mhm.
Oh,
So,
well,
and if by chance, Jeff is listening or somebody is listening that could get to Jeff or what have you. All right, Jeff, call up your players from last year and let them know what's going on. All right, because I'm hearing words that they haven't even gotten phone calls yet. They don't know where they're playing. They don't know if they're playing for the Real Cats. There's been no communication to them, and so come on, let's we're a professional baseball team. Let's make those phone calls. Let's follow up with them and say, hey, thank you for your service. Unfortunately, we won't be able to use you next year. Or, hey, we want you back.
well, that's going to be a major discussion point for next week. So we'll
Yes.
save that arsenal in there. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this week's edition of the Railcast Talk podcast. He's Chuck Blair. I'm Kyle Svedich. Go Cats.
Go Cats.
The 0-2. Swing and a miss, strike three. Wrap this one up in green and white.